Hello and welcome to another edition of the Father and Son Pastime podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
This is our last podcast, not ever, don't worry. Thank you, fans. Thank you for our 16 subscribers. But this is our last of the series for all-time dream teams. As you know, we've been doing the 30 MLB teams, all-time franchise, all-time dream teams, and we're ending it with the Rangers. Absolutely no insult to the Rangers. It was just a random order when we did these, and Texas Rangers happened to draw the last spot. So last, but certainly not least, we dive into the Texas Rangers.
Alphabetical, maybe.
No, it was just a random...
Texas Rangers? T?
No.
Okay.
It's truly random. It's okay from my color commentator here, my dad. It's fine. It's fine.
Little joke.
Yeah, okay. So if you're just joining us, thank you for still being with us in this first minute of the podcast. So it's entertainment, I hope at least, with some facts. You know, most just like how it's a lot
like
of
news.
It's a lot of opinions. Yeah, it's a lot of that. Yeah, we're having fun. This is our last one. We're having fun with it. If you're just joining us, a few rules with this. You have to have at least 3 years of team service time to the team. So in this case, the Rangers, and you have to be known for playing that position. So the thing about A-Rod. A-Rod has 3 years in the Rangers, so he qualifies. But you can't put A-Rod at second base. He didn't play second base for the Rangers. Just as an example. Mm-hmm. We go through all the position players. We talk about a DH as well. And then starting pitcher, reliever, closer. And we, for the fun of it, we'll end with talking about who's managing this lovely team that we created. And our favorite kind of logo design of your team and your team history about nearly 50 years, around 48 years of being a franchise. So this is going to be fun.
Yes.
Dad, would you like to just dive right in with the catcher? Very easy choice, in my opinion, here.
Yeah, really easy.
Yeah.
It's Pudge. It's Ivan Rodriguez. I mean, he really... I spent, the first 10 years of his career with the Rangers. Mm-hmm. He was annual All-Star. Really was a key member of that. Defensively, I think, like you mentioned before, he had more gold gloves than Johnny Bench, which is unheard of. Mm-hmm. But again, he was a great catcher, and I think still to this day, he's held as the gold standard of catchers.
Yeah, I think you have only really a couple options if you're thinking of all-time catchers, but Bench and Ivan Rodriguez have to be in that elite top list. If they're not, I don't know what baseball you've been watching. But Hall of Famer, MVP, 13 Gold Gloves, and 14 All-Stars. But yes, more Gold Gloves.
13 Gold Gloves.
Mm-hmm. That's a stack, baby.
Yeah.
That's a stack.
But think about the wear and tear of a catcher through those years.
And he played up through until his last year at the Nationals, all as a catcher.
Yeah.
He never moved to first or DH, which a lot of catchers do these days.
Yeah.
But Pudge, absolutely.
Yeah.
Best catcher.
Yeah.
So, fantastic start right there, leading off. That is the only current Hall of Famer I think I have. Nope, sorry, I have one other in the in pitching. So I don't have a lot of Hall of Famers on this list. I think a lot will deserve it, and one on the list I think should and will make the Hall of Fame soon, in a few years. For first base, I have... Oh, actually, before I get into first base, because I think we're going to have a little conversation here. I'm going to get ahead of it. So, the Texas Rangers had a lot of great teams in the 90s and early 2000s. They were playoff bound. Obviously, in the later part of the 2000s, early 2010s, they were pennant winners. They've had some great teams. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of those teams had a little help. And unlike their other Texas counterpart, the Houston Astros, they didn't cheat in the way of banging on trash cans. They cheated with steroid injections.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep a clean team. So what this means, I did not choose Rafael Palmeiro. I did not choose Alex Rodriguez. And I did not choose Juan Gonzalez. Now, all those people, especially A-Rod, I actually really respect. A-Rod's baseball intelligence is superior to me, and I love him as a commentator, and I actually love to see him coach one day. He knows baseball, and I admire that he said, I did steroids all 3 of these years. Please throw away those stats if you're talking about for Hall of Fame votes, and throw away the year that I did them with the Yankees. I do admire that. So, again, he said he did steroids every year with the Rangers.
But at least he admitted it.
I absolutely, I love that.
Yeah.
But he told publicly the media, he had a whole 60 Minutes thing about it, every year that I was on the Rangers, I did steroids. So, I'm throwing out his time with the Rangers completely. So, he's not on my starters. He's not in my bench. He's not on my 25-man roster. So, again, respect to A-Rod. I like what you said. But for all points of my broadcast today and my list, I don't have any steroid users. So, my first base choice is Mark Teixeira.
Me too.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be Raffy. Look at you.
Well, I had them together, and then I said, I went back and forth and all that stuff. Defensively, I thought Teixeira was a better first baseman. Mm-hmm. and
2 Gold Gloves.
yes.
Yep.
And then I think he played when the Rangers weren't so great,
Mm-hmm.
but he was always, right up
Yep.
there in the lead for,
Yep.
for home runs and RBIs and all that. And plus, he's a local kid. Played his
Mm-hmm.
high school baseball right in Baltimore and
We're from
everything
Maryland,
else.
yeah.
Yeah. Then went to Georgia Tech and went from there. But I tell you, Justin was a great. He had a really good career. Ended up with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Or everyone thought he would end up with the Orioles, but it didn't happen. But again,
Rafi Palmeiro happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mark, I think got the nod because of defense, and again, just kind of weighing it back and forth. But Rafi did have offensive numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but then again,
Yep.
with Rodriguez, he came clean. Rafi never did.
Except he testified to Congress and then he tested positive. So just
I
saying
know.
that. I don't believe Rafi's testimony. I believe the test. Uh, Teixeira also, the trade, he was traded to Texas, brought in Elvis Andrus, Neftali Feliz, and a few other people that sometimes get
Yeah,
mentioned in these top overall 25-man
yeah. He was
rosters between
originally with the
time.
Braves, correct?
Andrus? Elvis?
No, Texera.
No, Teixeira was traded from
Texas
Texas.
to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
they
Yeah.
gave up Elvis
Okay.
Andrus and Neftali
Yep.
Feliz and a few
Okay.
other people. But yeah, so they had to really mortgage the farm to get Mark. I
Yeah.
think it's for a playoff year or something like that.
Yeah.
But he brought in a whole bunch of talent for Texas.
Yeah.
For second, I think this is where one of my favorite players is Michael Young. And you could honestly put Michael Young almost anywhere. He's a super utility guy. I love Ben Zobrist. Michael Young I think, should be in the Hall of Fame as well. Don't know if he will be. But the super utility guy that has played first base, second, short, third, and obviously DH.
Yeah.
I'm putting him at shortstop. I'll get to that. Ian Kinsler is going to be my second baseman. He was an all-star 3 years for them. He got the Defensive Player of the Year overall when he was down there, and he is just a fantastic defenseman. He got some Gold Gloves at some point else in his career, I think, with Detroit, not with
Correct.
Texas.
Correct.
But he's a very solid second baseman, hits the ball well. So I chose Ian Kinsler as second base and Michael Young as his partner at short.
Well,
You got something different up the middle.
no, I have Ian at second base.
Okay, fun.
Michael Young is my DH
Okay.
because at the tail end of his career, he
did
was.
DH. Yeah.
And the great story about Michael Young when he was in Double A and he was in a Double A All Star game.
I met him. Cool guy.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Well, to me it was.
No. I was playing it cool. I was playing it cool.
But anyway,
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a really athletic, second baseman, shortstop, utility guy, and all that stuff.
Yep.
I think when he went to the Double A All Star game later on that same year, I think he ended up in the bigs, and then we're like, whoa,
September call.
yeah. So again, it was one of those cool things that happened to us and everything else, but yeah, he was really good. Steady was probably the best way to describe Michael Young, and it was always a clutch hitter and everything else. And then for shortstop, I did have Alex, only because he was so good, and then I'm so impressed of his post career that he did own up to that, and now he's like, I mean, even when he comes up on, I think it's Fox that does his,
Sure.
pregame show, he says all the time what a mistake he made and he should have done this, and this. I kind of like that. So, yeah.
Again, respect A-Rod. Let me push a little bit more Michael Young though, and it's tough because I think maybe I would have probably dropped Kinsler and put Young at second and A-Rod at shortstop if I had to really move things around and A-Rod didn't do steroids those 3 years. But it would be a tough decision. Michael Young is a franchise leader for Texas, all Ranger history, in runs, hits, doubles, and triples, and finished with a lifetime 301 average, all for the Rangers.
That's fantastic.
A-Rod did 3 years. So it's one of those things that Young deserves a spot more somewhere in your lineup more than A-Rod. A-Rod's not necessarily a snub here. If you don't include Michael Young in your starting lineup, that's a snub.
Yeah, well, I'm sure glad I had him.
Yeah, or I'll just be railing on you. Third base is, again, I think Michael Young deserves a Hall of Fame. The next name is a lock in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, with Adrian Beltre.
Yeah.
3 Gold Gloves, 3,000 plus hits. His best years, in my opinion, were in Texas, as he was one of those players that the older he got, the better he got.
Yeah.
Despite his years in Seattle or LA, he just did so much great things in Texas. Defensively, I mean, some great third basemen like Cal Ripken thinks Adrian Beltre is the best third baseman ever. He didn't say that about Brooks Robinson. He didn't say that about Mike Schmidt. He said it about Adrian Beltre.
He watched Brooks up close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Adrian Beltre, 100% is a huge franchise name here. Young and Beltre have had their numbers retired by the Rangers.
Yeah.
A-Rod has not.
And Beltre was not a small man. He was
No, he's a big boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he had some light feet because I remember when he used to chase foul balls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he covered a lot of ground, and he was probably 220 plus, and he was going down that line really. I mean, he would outrun the shortstop sometimes. So, just a great. I don't think anyone has come close to him since he's left the game, but I just think he's the hallmark of
Do you
a
mean
great third baseman.
defensively and offensively?
Yeah.
Arenado would be my league.
Yeah, but consistently,
Yeah.
But Arenado is
Yeah.
outstanding.
If Arenado gets I think Beltre will get the Hall of Fame for
Yeah.
2,000 hits, but Arenado should also be in that realm at some point too.
Just think if Beltre hit in Colorado.
Yeah,
Look
Beltre would
out.
hit 48 home runs in Texas and
I know.
wind go in the opposite direction.
Yeah, yeah. But a lot of people always say, anybody who comes out of Colorado, you got to look
Sure,
at.
ERA is raised. That's not the real number.
So, yeah. So anyway,
who do you have in left?
you know what? I was torn. There wasn't it wasn't a great deal, but I have Alfonso Soriano.
Okay, Cubs national there.
Yeah. But when he was with Texas,
Tell me.
he was the guy.
Mhm.
He came up as a youngster with the Texas Rangers system and really made a name for himself. And he was a 40-40 guy.
Mhm.
And that's why I remember the most as him, a complete player. And then I think he came out of Cuba, if I'm not mistaken. And again, came to the United States a little late, but he was a star when he played with Texas and really made a name for himself.
Mhm.
So I had him for my left fielder.
Nice choice.
Yeah.
I went with Rusty Greer.
Well,
I know, and let me explain my choice. So Rusty benefited from steroids. He didn't take steroids, but he benefited from them. When you have people like Juan Gonzalez, Rafael Palmeiro, or A-Rod on your team, you might be people pitching around that because Greer didn't get walked. He got pitched to. When he was with Texas, granted, he didn't have a full 20-year career. I think he only played 13, 14 seasons. He had above a 300 average. He was pretty much locked for 100 RBIs each year because he was getting those people that got walked ahead of him on. And he almost had 20 home runs. Either one year 18, 1 year 25. So again, 20 home runs, 100 RBIs, 300 average.
Consistently. I know
Played left field?
Yeah, and he was a left-handed hitter. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And probably, not one of the stars of the team.
Exactly.
But again, it's a steady influence.
Yeah, if you get 100 RBIs, you're going to get
Yeah.
that consistently too. Not like one breakout year. Like he averaged 90 this year, 105, 110 this year.
Yeah.
So it was impressive.
Good choice.
For center, I will say that this guy has struggled with addictions, not steroids. He unfortunately was not able to have a full MLB career. What if Josh Hamilton had a full 15, 18-year MLB career, what the numbers could have been? I think he was just a pure player when he was healthy, when he was sober, I guess is the best way to say it. He struggled with everything. He had a few incidents, obviously, on Texas when he, gave in to those temptations, gave into those demons, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But when he was clean, he was phenomenal, both defensively, offensively. So Josh Hamilton, you deserve the starting center field role.
But what's funny, as he went through one of the seasons, and I don't know if it was with Texas, whatever, he went out and he broke his sobriety and everything as the middle of the season.
Yeah.
But then he realized it, and he went to the team and said, listen, I had a relapse.
Yeah.
I need some more help and all that stuff. Gotta give him credit. He knew when he was in trouble, and he sought help. So I hope he's doing okay today.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a fantastic athlete. Just again, demons is the key word. I had a character that I think was one of the great characters of baseball of all time, Mickey Rivers.
Tell me about Mickey. I don't know about his character.
Mickey Rivers was a center fielder, 5'9", about 160 pounds, slap hitter that played with the Rangers and Yankees. He had a love for the game. When he was a leadoff hitter for the Rangers, it really made the team better. Always an all-star. Great leadoff hitter when teams had an actually prototype leadoff hitter. But Mickey was a guy that by far kept the clubhouse loose, and I really liked the way he played baseball.
Very fun. I have to look more into some Mickey Rivers highlight film.
Yes.
Sounds like just like a Juan Pierre of my generation.
Just a little stronger than that, but he was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
For right field, who'd you have?
Nelson Cruz.
Okay, I had him as my DH,
Yeah.
so that makes sense. He could obviously play either.
Yeah.
Another player that got better as he got older, just like
Yeah.
Beltre, for different reasons.
Yeah. One of my favorite players of today, wherever he's gone, he's really hit.
Yeah.
And
Twins,
yeah.
really benefiting from him.
Yeah. Now he wants a 2-year contract, by the way.
Why not? Give it to him. Even if you get 1 year out of
Yeah.
him, you're going to get
Yeah.
the money from him.
Oh, I agree.
He hits bombs.
Just think if the Orioles kept him. You know, he would be.
That's the Orioles slogan. Say, Baltimore Orioles, we should have kept you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But anyway, I just love the way he plays baseball, and I think he's a true leader. And I'm a big fan of Nelson Cruz, and he's one of those guys that kind of like floats in the background, but you look up and he's
Yep.
always 30 home runs,
Yep.
120 RBIs, batting
He's
3 or 4.
closing in on 500 home runs.
Yeah.
Just through the consistent nature of
Yeah.
40 home runs a year.
It's 38, 39,
I think it's
something like that.
39,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's still popping.
Yeah, look at Julio Franco for the Braves. Remember he played into his 40s?
He was a pinch hitter until he was mid 40s.
I
Yeah,
see
I agree.
Cruz doing that. He's
Yeah.
healthy, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
For right field, I had a former MVP, Jeff Burrows. I know
Yes.
that people might sleep on that name, but again, former MVP, you're going to get included in this list.
Yeah.
Granted, I think that could be my biggest area of weakness is I don't have any really gold gloves in my outfield. But again, this team's going to score a lot of runs. So I'm not worried.
Mickey had gold gloves.
Well, I didn't have Mickey in
I
my
know that.
outfield.
But,
Yeah. And if Josh Hamilton played more, I think he probably
oh,
could have
yeah,
got one.
he was great.
But yeah, so I am well aware that we might give up 7-8 runs. We might be the all-time dream leader in errors.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
okay. We're going to get a lot of runs.
It's a softball team.
Yeah, if you hit it to Beltre or Young,
Yeah, you're good.
and you got a Gold Glove catcher,
Yeah.
but it's in the outfield.
You run all day.
It could be like Game 4 of the Dodgers. It could just be bouncing around, not getting it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Give them 5
Recorded
outs
day
in.
after Game 4, by the way.
That's right. Just slap it and run.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
So we just actually finished talking about the Angels and talking about Nolan Ryan a lot in our last podcast. Is Nolan Ryan your choice for the Texas Rangers here?
It is.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, I thought his best years were with the Rangers. And,
That's it. Funny, we can disagree on that. Okay.
Yeah, and I think again he was from Texas.
Yeah.
And then he had part of the ownership for the Rangers. So if you're identifying a player with a team, I think Nolan goes with the Rangers just because he's been associated with them for so long. It's a great fight of the White Sox and Rangers when Nolan Ryan was
Robin Ventura.
Yeah, he threw it, and then he took a look at Ryan. And he said, and he took 2 steps. And he went, "This is not a good idea."
He committed.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I just thought Ryan was a really big aspect of the Rangers, and again, he was probably middle 2/3 of his career when he was with the Rangers, and I just think whatever. But I had Ferguson Jenkins in there as well, and he had a great record. I didn't think he was that great with the Rangers, but apparently he was after he got done with the Cubs and everything else. But again, longevity of Jenkins are way into his 30s.
Yeah, well, let me talk more about Fergie. So, first off, absolutely, Nolan Ryan's great for this. I just thought that in terms of dominance, again, one game, who do you want to take the mound? You can say it's Game 1 of the World Series, you can say it's Game 7, you can say it's opening day. Whatever that helps you make your decision, to me, it's Fergie. Reason being, he had 29 complete games in one season.
Yeah.
We talked about the
With
workhorse.
the Cubs.
No,
With the Rangers?
With the Rangers.
Wow.
Yeah,
in the
no,
Heat.
I'm only looking at Rangers numbers.
Wow.
Yeah, 29 complete games.
And it's 100 degrees down there.
And I'm sure not all those games were in Texas, but still.
Right, yeah.
We look at Nolan being a workhorse, a machine, probably an embodiment of Texas, being that workhorse. Absolutely. But Fergie in the 70s, doing all these deep, complete games, unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
So, and then he had lower ERAs than Nolan Ryan during his separate times, obviously, with the Rangers. Obviously, Nolan had more games and more strikeouts, but Fergie is not too far behind in those categories. And again, just going those distance, 9 innings. I have decent, I know this is always kind of sounding mean, I have decent closers and setup men after him, but I feel better about my guys giving up, a lot of errors in the field or something like that, with my starter being able to go 9, go to the distance.
And Fergie was a ground ball pitcher.
Yeah.
And,
So great. Beltre gets it all.
Yeah. But, even my marriage were with the Cubs, and he had a great infield when he pitched for the Cubs, but the shortstop, second base, just were busy all day. Wasn't a whole lot
Kinsler's
of...
fine with that.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of our contact with Fergie on the mound. And he pitched the same years as Bob Gibson and was overshadowed by Gibson.
And would have got more Cy Youngs if it wasn't for Gibson.
Right.
Yeah,
and when they pitched, he was a big man too. He was 6'6", from Canada, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the true stars from Canada that play American baseball. but when he threw against Gibson, it was always 1-0 games. Always.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These are great things.
Yeah.
So you had Ryan. Who do you have for your closer and reliever?
John Wetteland,
As closer.
setup,
Okay.
and a guy named Jeff Russell was my closer. He was a great relief pitcher
Oh,
for
yeah,
him.
yeah. Beard, a lot, if I recall, right? Big
Correct.
beard.
Very good.
Yeah.
And those are my two. And then I was going to come up with Ugueth Urbina.
No.
I know that.
Yeah.
But the only pitcher player in Major League Baseball that had a starting first name of U and a last name starting with U, and that's what he's known for, other than other things in Venezuela.
I think he's the only MLB pitcher to be arrested for murder as well.
Yes.
But check me on that. I think he's still doing some time.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when he pitched well. But he got a little anger problem.
Yeah. I'm going to move on from that. I went with Neftali Feliz as my setup, just through the heat, the stuff he threw. He had some severe, amazing gas. I think he won Rookie of the Year as a closer, too. I think he won it the same year that Craig Kimbrell did, which is funny because can you imagine an organization that had Kimbrell and Feliz? At one time, the Braves had both. So
great scouting.
I know. But so anyways, Feliz as my setup, and John Wetteland as because he's the all-time saves leader for the Rangers. Had to pick him as well. But probably they don't get that much. We'll pay them a little bit because Fergie's going to go 9 innings all the time, and they're not going to play that often.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Feliz and Wetteland. Who is managing your team?
Johnny Oates.
Johnny Oates. I went with Ron Washington.
Another
Braves connection.
Yes, you're right. Great utility infielder. Johnny Oates and Billy Martin had the best record of. I looked up all the managers. Okay. Billy Martin did great work down in Texas. Billy managed for a long time between the Yankees and the Rangers, but spent I think almost 5 to 7 years with the Rangers. Great one, and Johnny Oates had the best winning percentage, and then went out to Baltimore and a few other places. But both of those managers I think been great. But if I had to choose, I'd choose Johnny Oates.
Typically, we would choose someone who has some World Series rings, and I'm not throwing shade here, but maybe one day we'll have to different manager and agree upon that when they get the first World Series ring to Texas.
It might be a while.
Who knows?
Yeah.
They're a fun team to watch, though.
Yeah.
And speaking of fun, you've had some fun logos. Look at there's a cowboy hat on top of a baseball. By the way, this is Texas Roadhouse. This is not Texas Rangers. All right, TR is for Texas Roadhouse. Dad, what's your favorite logo?
You know what? I look at them. I'm going to choose the one with the hat with that.
Yeah, the 72 one's just a little bit annoying. I don't know why Rangers is so embossed there. But the 81 was only chosen for a year before they went with Texas Roadhouse. But I like the 81 logo, the classic. I mean, it's fun. You got a little cowboy hat.
Happy birthday to you when you?
They do a line dance, and they do a line dance.
Yeah.
But it was a fun logo for only a year.
Yeah.
Okay. 81, fun team. I hope you guys get a World Series ring at some point. Honestly, I think there's 6 teams in baseball right now. We're in the middle of the World Series. We're really hoping the Rays get their first ring. But yeah, I mean, we got to see the Nationals do it last year. So I hope that everyone that is still looking for a championship finds their ring.
And I hope the fans are back next year.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, great. Since you guys are hosting the World Series right now, great new park, and I hope it's thriving for you all. Mm-hmm. And I hope you all get to see more of that next season. It looks like a really fun park. It's a very weird spot for the scoreboard, though. I think it's a little strange, but maybe it's for the players, not so much for the fans.
Yeah, and in fact, last night or one of the previous night was the first game with an indoor stadium this year in baseball because we've always had the roof open, but they had to close it, and then the announcer said this is the first time they've had an indoor baseball game this year with fans.
Yeah.
So it tells you something about 2020.
Yeah. Well, enjoy Globe Life. I think it's going to be a great little park for you all. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the World Series. This will be uploaded, of course, after the World Series has ended. So we'll see if the Dodgers or the Rays came out on top.
Yeah. It's been a great World Series so far.
Yes.
Very entertaining.
Yes, and thank you for joining us for all of our 30 podcasts, for our 2 listeners that have listened to apparently all 30 of them. We're going to have a lot of new content for you after the season ends, and a lot of silly fun to end 2020 as well. So keep a lookout for that. This is the Father and Son Pastime Podcast, signing off of our Dream Teams.
It's been a pleasure.